Everything we know, from people and ants to stars and galaxies to quarks and atoms, the entire universe, might just be a simulation running inside a supercomputer inside an even bigger universe. Ancient philosophers said that the universe is a dream that we're waiting to wake up from. In this dream world of the imagination, anything is possible. All cultural items, from the dreams of our rodent-like ancestors, to books, to television shows, are merely permutations of the reality we think we live in. Today's age of computers and video games places simulations at the center of our cultural consciousness. A select group of us perform simulations for fun and profit, and we call them games, role-playing and otherwise. We live to run simulations. Join us on the Simulationist podcast as we explore our culture of simulations.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Simulationist podcast. This is the iteration 161 of the show, recorded on the 10th of October 2015. My name is Josh Trelevin, and with me as always on the other microphone,
Cookie Monster, Ryan Kirkby.
Cookie Monster.
I have an unruly amount of cookies in my house.
Oh yeah. Big bag full of cookies.
Yes. So big you don't measure it by the number of cookies, but by the container of them. I have literally a large bag of cookies.
A metric bag ton.
Yeah, short bag ton. I snacked on them throughout the day. It's the second best bag of sweets I've ever brought back to my abode.
Now, Cookie Monster eats cookies, though. He doesn't cook cookies, or does he?
I imagine he should know how to cook cookies. Otherwise, he's just a crass consumer. He's not artisanal.
You never see Cookie Monster come in with a plate of cookies.
Well, they never last that long. The cookies he makes never last elsewhere.
Do you think Cookie Monsters would eat the dough though, as he was making cookies?
I could see them definitely doing a thing like that about patience, sort of, because they do teach. They have Cookie Monster in various movie style roles, where they'll do movie parodies and they'll have him learning a lesson. And in which case I could see them, doing something where he has to make a cookie and then he has to learn not to eat the raw cookie dough, because one, salmonella, two, it tastes better cooked. And fresh out off the pan, just nice. Whereas the chocolate's all melty in there, and it's all just warm in your mouth. It's like love, but in physical form in your mouth.
I feel like Cookie Monster doesn't really appreciate I shouldn't say he doesn't appreciate, because he will say things like, "Ooh, me love gooey cookie," but when he actually eats the cookie, it doesn't look like he's getting enjoyment out of the gooiness of the cookie.
That's because I don't think they can really use gooey cookies. They have to use the crumbly cookies for him to eat and have it just slightly fall out the side of the mouth as he goes on his feasting frenzy.
Yeah, I guess cookie dough would get all stuck in the felt.
Here's the weird thing though is that you'd suspect they'd have gone on for some sort of technological development for Cookie Monster cookies eating technology, where you got something like a black hose that goes down the animator's arm, so he gets a whole bunch of
why doesn't Cookie Monster have a throat?
You'd think if there was one monster, one Muppet with a throat, it would be Cookie Monster.
Actually, I remember in the Muppet Show, they had a monster. It might have been Sweetums, I'm not sure. But they had a monster that was a big puppet.
They do have one,
that other Muppets could go in the mouth.
They do have one. In the current Muppet thing, I think he's working as a secretary, so I think front desk takes phone calls and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen him. He does music stuff. So go check out on YouTube. There's some Muppet songs. Enjoy that. There's one where he's eating rabbits and all sorts of crazy things like that.
Yeah.
And you'd expect that Cookie Monster would be that sort of monster first before this guy. Although, crazy theory here.
Okay.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Mew and Mewtwo.
Yeah.
How Mewtwo is they tried to clone a psychic Pokemon and wound up coming up with some sort of crazy corruption.
Okay.
That one that actually can eat the other Muppets, that is the Cookie 2 monster.
Okay.
There's Cookie Monster and then there's the Cookie 2.
They evolved the Cookie Monster.
They tried to clone the Cookie Monster and make him better, and they came up with a Muppet-eating monstrosity.
Yeah.
He is unnatural. So there's your crazy fan theory. About a Muppet with, I guess he's got a name. They all have names.
Well,
Kermit. He's not as big.
Kermit wasn't even a frog. He was just like a sock or just a puppet.
Generic sort of semi-humanoid, yeah.
And then they were like, he kind of looks froggy. And I guess people started calling him a frog. It's like, well, I guess he's a frog.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've seen those, coffee commercials from back in the black and white era.
Yeah, the original Muppet.
Kermit is wacky and violent.
Yeah.
Wow, man. He blows up people because they're buying the wrong type of coffee grounds. It's just like horrible, man.
Yeah.
That's why he has to suffer now as the straight man forevermore. Everyone else gets their chance to be wacky. Kermit's burned it out of his system, and now he must be the only sane. Well, I can't call him man. The only sane Muppet. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yes. How did we get here?
Well, you brought home cookies.
Oh,
okay,
yes, cookie. Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, it's a good thing we got a recording for this. It's like watching like one of those black box recordings for like a plane that winds up getting so far off course.
Right.
Wow. Okay. How have you been doing this week, Josh?
I've been good. Let's see. Let's jump into what I've been up to in the world of fiction and making
things
games
that didn't really happen.
Playing games. I played a little bit of Minecraft, as I always do. I've been building up this sort of horse village, with all the different stables and a village.
You're not actually making like a village that's just populated by horses. Although that sounds kind of cool, right?
Little Ren and Stimpy there.
You just put like a bunch of open buildings, open area buildings, no actual doors, and then you just put a bunch of horses in there, put a corral thing around the outside, and just have them wander about they're like real people. They're just horses.
Yeah, that's kind of good. But what I did was
smacks heavily of insanity, but okay.
Yeah. Well,
this is what the insane do. They build a village just for horses.
Yeah, that would work. I mean, it is in a way because I have barns and stuff and little what I like to do is I like to build a sort of a barn in the center or on a corner, and it's open so the horses can walk in and out at will, and then have a sort of a meadow or an enclosure or a grassy place for them to go and eat grass.
No. Even though they don't actually.
They don't. Yeah, in Minecraft, the horses don't have to eat grass. But yeah, I like to make it kind of nice like that. So so they can wander in and out, and sometimes I add hay bales and stuff just to make it look like it's occupied. And
I like to do that too. Verisimilitude.
Yeah. So I made about 7 or 8, maybe 9 enclosures.
Oh, very nice.
So now I have each of the different base colors separated, and then what Minecraft is, it has I think it's 5. It has a bunch of base colors.
Yes.
And then on top of that, they add spots or big spots or
dappled and whatnot.
Yeah, special extra coloring. So, but I just basically keep all those together, all the white base with other white base, all the black base with the other black, the gray with the other gray. I know. I guess it kind of is that, but it's
okay when it's animals, apparently. Who knew?
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing I did in Minecraft is I built a wolf sanctuary.
Oh.
Because
it has been maps and maps since I've seen a wolf.
Yeah, they actually despawn, they sort of go extinct. And I was really worried about this because I was in an area with lots of wolves, and I was like, oh, excellent, I can grab all these wolves.
All of them.
Yeah. But then slowly over time, I kept on going back to the area. Eventually, they just sort of despawn. They go away. They go extinct. I guess it's it being an endangered species or whatever.
What's the thing though? Because in my Minecraft thing, I want to try and get summoning. Stuff with the with my soul shards mod, and it's I'm having a bit of a hard time with horses. Turns out most of the horses I thought I knew of were from the Mozart's Mo Creatures mod, which I had to remove. And it's oh man, it's going to take me a while to get enough horses. But I haven't even seen an ocelot or a wolf at all.
Well, ocelots are more easy to find because all you have to do is go to a jungle and wait and have an open grassy area because they spawn just naturally, they'll reappear.
Yeah, but it's still been so long since I've seen any of them like that.
Yeah, I don't know if do you have a jungle in your world?
I have Mistcraft. I have a jungle, but it would be quicker for me to make a new world and just go there.
Yeah.
It's a little further away.
Yeah.
I have gone there before, when I just, I got nothing to do for the next hour in the real world. Hop on my little airship and away I go.
Yeah. So I built, like, this wolf sanctuary, which is, like, a fenced-in area with, like, pumpkins in all the ground for, like, jack-o'-lanterns, that is, to keep it lit up and nice and light.
Very nice.
But then grass on, like, tall grass beside that, so it doesn't, it's
not very
sort of
obvious.
Hidden, so it's like it just feels light, and there's like, oh, why is it light? Oh, there's a pumpkin there, I guess. Yeah. And then a few trees scattered here and there, and then this nice little cave thing for, like, made out of stone. For
an artificial cave, not like an actual cave where monsters can spawn.
A nice one. And then
a hobbit hole.
Yeah, so it's almost like a little zoo thing, like a zoo, like what you'd find at the zoo. And then what I did is, instead of taming wolves, I got name tags, and I named the wolves. So they're wild wolves. So whenever...
But because they're named, they're not going to despawn.
Exactly, yeah. So they're...
I really wish I had been able to do that with the Enderman that was inside my... like... I guess it was just called a study. It was something from, like, the archaeology thing. There's, like, an archaeologist institute. It's like, oh, he's wandering around in there. It's like, oh, it would have been awesome.
I wonder, I think you might be able to name an Enderman because if you get up close and you look at their feet, they don't get mad.
I could just put a pumpkin on my head. Don't matter.
Oh, you can do that there, yeah. But also it's hard to name an Enderman because the name plate in the game only appears, like, at a certain X value or Y value from the center of the character.
And they're so tall, yeah.
And so Enderman, the name will be inside their body, like in their chest.
That seems right for Enderman.
Yeah.
On the other hand, since that time, I have done so many night spree killings when the monsters were spawning, where I just killed everything that moved and spawned up. I would have wound up killing my named Enderman.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So, and what I'd like to do for fun now is I have, like, sheep next door to to my wild wolves. So every once in a while, I'd like to just bring in a live sheep, which I guess is a bit sadistic, but
they gotta eat.
I guess
not really, but you keep the illusion of reality.
Yeah, so I bring in the live sheep, and the wild wolves just go at it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of I think I mentioned this a long time ago. In Minecraft, I wanted to make, like, a machine with a conveyor belt that would, like, with a wolf in one room, and then it conveys sheep in there, and then with hoppers, so that the wolves kill the sheep, and then the meat and
the
wool would drop into hoppers, and then
that's one thing I really haven't seen a lot of when it comes to mods. Very little ways to move a creature on a floor mat sort of style.
Yeah, I guess
with all the weird things that people put in for mods, something like a movement pad would be there, but no, it's not a thing.
Yeah,
still got to push things with water or with pistons.
There's water, pistons, minecarts, slime blocks. So there are a few different options, but yeah,
but nothing as easily directed as like we'll just call it a D-pad for, like, direction, right? Where you're on there and it moves you in that direction. Like, if you could do that on something like as flat as, we'll say, carpet, and then some other little item where you can, like, smack it to change whichever direction it goes into, and just put a little arrow sign to show which direction it'll pull something in to make that, you have revolutionized the nature of a lot of mob grinders, if nothing else.
I think, what I might like to see is just sort of a variant rail track that's just like a slow rail, and it's just a constant slow speed, but it just moves.
Well, that's what I was imagining too. Nothing like really quick, but like when you're trying to, you're just naturally flowing with water when you got the source block pushing you away. Yeah. Something like that for a speed, I think, would be very adequate.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Be good.
But not a big thing. No one's come up with that. There's people like, oh yes, this is the mod to use for liquid storage, or this is the mod to use for this and that. There's no one the mod when it comes to like moving creatures from A to B. It's weird. It's a niche that hasn't been filled and extolled the virtues of. If it exists, I mean, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, so yeah, I don't know. So I played Minecraft.
Oh, very nice.
I played, the other. What else did I do? I mean, I did a lot of stuff. But I was gonna say I watched the nerd soap opera of Big Bang Theory.
Which would be which season opening up?
Is it 10?
Something like that. So 9, 10.
I'm not 100% sure if that's correct, but I think it's up there. I
support it existing simply for Mayim Bialik. Everything else.
Yeah, you're a Mayim Bialik fan.
Not because of Blossom, although I won't lie, I did see some Blossom back in the day.
I watched a few of those.
I do support the fact that she decided to pause her actions in the acting to get herself like a neuro degree.
Yeah, because she's educated. She's a real bona fide nerd.
Well, that, and I mean, just like the way she wound up playing with Dana Carvey when I saw them both together on the Conan O'Brien show was amazing because you can tell intelligence when it's there, and so she had that.
Yeah.
And Dana Carvey was giving her the lines. It's like, are my sons always going to be this stupid? Because he's got teenage sons, and they're like, oh yeah, sorry Dad, I'm out of money. I'm 7 hours drive away. I thought it'd be good just to drive this way. It's like, are they always going to be that stupid? And she explains how no, the chemical changes that accumulate as maturity doesn't really stop in the human brain till age 25.
Yeah, I think I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually the two of them. I saw the two of them for the one bit together on Conan O'Brien, and I got more laughs out of seeing them do their back and forth banter. And this wasn't even scripted than I did from seeing an entire episode of Saturday Night Live that season.
Well, okay, yeah.
And Lord knows they were trying for Saturday Night Live, but Bialik and Carvey they really knocked it. They she's got the humor and the smarts to make it all work. So even if I'm not big on the series, and I don't kind of like the nerd face thing, as some people are complaining about, I'll be okay with it simply because it gets her out there doing more fun stuff. It lets her star rise.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if I should call it a soap opera because they are sticking to it's about the couples, and but it's sort of an I Love Lucy kind of situation where it really is just the interaction. It's gone from
Penny's not allowed to join in, to Sheldon's mambo band.
Well, Sheldon does his flags like a YouTube channel. I think is what it is. It's his Fun with Flags show that he did with and him and actually I shouldn't call them couples because him and Mayim's character, Amy Farrah Fowler, did break up, or she broke up with him, and then he's trying to win her back. So there's all of that. It
sounds like disaster after disaster and hijinks ensuing there.
Yeah, it is. It's hijinks, and I think I've complained about this before on Big Bang Theory because often they'll have an A line and a B line, like a storyline, A line and B line.
It's a common thing,
and the characters in the in storyline A or the main line will learn a valuable lesson about let's interact with each other on a more human level, or let's try and work out our differences, and we know we really love each other even though things like jealousy get in the way, or I'm not making mistakes. So they learn a lesson, right? But at the exact same time, in the B storyline is the other couple, often Sheldon and Amy, but it could be the other way around. But the B line story couple, the B storyline couple,
the B couple,
does not learn that lesson, and it's just funny. It's like they just mess everything up.
I'm okay with that because I mean sometimes you got to obey with the rule of cool and the rule of funny.
Yeah.
In which case it's like, okay, yeah, somebody learned, but this was just funny hilarity sort of thing.
Yeah, and so it's like the exact same lesson they could have learned, but they just and I guess
isn't that like art imitating life? Because some people
Probably,
go through an incident and they just don't learn, and it happens again and again, and they just don't learn.
Yeah, and I was thinking I think that Amy is better off without Sheldon, but I think that probably what's going to happen is they're probably going to get back together. That's my prediction. But I think it would be fine for both of them. They don't need to be together. Is my thought. Whereas Penny and Leonard, who just got married at the end of like the whole season finale thing.
I wish them the best for their fictional characters' fictional marriage.
Yeah. Come on, these are my like. This is my nerd soap opera.
Well, I would like to wish them the best, but they aren't real people, and the marriage doesn't really exist, and it's really all up to the whim of the writers and ratings.
Yeah, but I am rooting for those two. I want Leonard and Penny to, Leonard and Penny. I want them to be together forever, and I think they probably will be. But
as a quick tangent on there, it's an interesting thing that you compared it to I Love Lucy, because one of the people that was working with the I Love Lucy crew, like one of like the associate producers or whatever it was, his name was Sheldon Leonard.
Oh, huh.
Yeah. Where do you think they got their names from?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Those little tributes that you give back,
I guess
see who notices.
The Big Bang Theory wasn't like I Love Lucy in a lot of ways, like when it first started out, because it was more the story of these two guys.
And their two friends.
It was a little bit like The Odd Couple, a little bit that kind of thing, or what's the one with the...
No, I think The Odd Couple is apt.
Eastern European guy.
Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Strangers, that kind of deal. Like,
I think you might be better off with the comparison for The Odd Couple.
Okay, yeah.
Nerd, but like social versus nerd, but not social sort of thing.
Yeah, and it also has a little bit of flavor of that Friends with the nerdy guy falling in love with the girl across the hall.
What, Chandler?
Or, I think I was thinking of Ross, but because Ross is also
Chandler's
a
the nerd, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't watch a heck of a lot of that stuff, but Chandler was the nerd.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a weird thing. I kind of miss Phoebe though. I kept watching her, and she was always entertaining.
Yeah, she should have. Did she? She never got a spin-off. Did she?
She was a spin-off, apparently. She was in like another series. She was like a waitress there, and then they wound up taking her character and moving into that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I didn't see that previous series, but that's what I've been told, and I don't know why they'd lie to me maliciously.
Well, but that's not exactly unless Friends is considered, like, the show is not a spin-off.
Well, it'll be the same way that
Friends.
Family Matters was a spin-off.
Okay.
Because it was a spin-off from. Actually, I think maybe that one was a spin-off from like Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl Winslow was like the cop and all that, and then he's like, okay, now he's moving to back to his family over in Chicago and all that, and hey, and then it becomes the Steve Urkel show at the end.
Okay. Yeah. What was I saying about?
I got no clue
about Big Bang Theory.
Oh yes. You hope the best for their wedding.
That I watched it. Yeah, and
a good strong start to the new season, or do you think it just kind of limped in at the beginning of the season?
Well, I liked it because I already kind of know the characters. I don't know if it's the same sort of stuff that people could just get into.
But was it a fairly strong one? Like you say, like this is something I'll remember, or was it just like it's a filler?
I'd say it's B+.
Okay. So it could have been a stronger start, but still not bad.
Yeah, it's worth watching. And I am am I interested in what happens in the rest? I hope they have more like hijinks, more like what's the comic book store owner guy?
Oh yes.
I can't remember now what his name is, but I want to see more of him.
CBG.
Is it
the comic book guy?
Comic book guy.
That's
No, not the Simpsons comic book guy. Yeah. The Big Bang Theory comic book guy. Because he's the closest, like, all the other characters in Big Bang Theory, like, or the main characters, except for Penny, I guess, like, are all, like, kind of professionals and kind of, like, or academics, I should say. So they have some success, but he's a little, like, more of an average Joe, even though he owned a comic book store. He's obviously nerdy, but he's not, like, he doesn't have, a degree or any, not even I don't know if he went to college. I don't know if they've revealed whether or not, but that's not important to his character.
Yeah.
Because he was the comic book store owner. So, I want to see more of him. I want to see more of, like, the guys goofing around, I guess.
It is. That is one of the parts I like the best from what I've seen. It's when they get like referenced as nerds doing the nerdy stuff. It's not so big. But when they're just four like nerdy friends hanging out together, that's the stuff I've really enjoyed seeing. I would like to see more of that.
Yeah, and also like I like when we get to focus on the relationship between the women too. Penny,
I have enjoyed
Bernadette,
that, yeah.
And Amy.
I did enjoy seeing those sorts of scenes as well. Yeah, though I found that to be good comic stuff.
Yeah. But then, there's complication between Sheldon and Amy that sort of interfered with that, at least for the first 2 episodes. But we'll see what happens in the rest of the series.
So the dynamic could be better, is what you're saying. But you think it's excusable because of, like, plot?
Yeah. And like, well, I guess my... to go on about what I wanted.
Go for it. Yeah, I mean, this is a good, dig in and figure out what was good, what was not.
What I'm hoping for in the series, this is why I want Amy and Sheldon to be, like, finished, is because I want them to be able to be friends and go on, like, as... And, like, I don't know if... Like, I don't think Sheldon has ever, like, had a girlfriend before, so he doesn't have exes, so I don't know how that would work out for him.
You think it'd be a good dynamic for him to explore, even if, like, they get back to
I'd like to see that character having an ex-girlfriend and see how he... I mean, because he's always saying, like, stupid things, the wrong thing to girls about talking about her, how she has her time of the month and stuff, like, the Sheldon putting his foot in his mouth and not even realizing it. So you can imagine him doing that with an ex-girlfriend, and then, like,
Wait, does Leonard's mom count as an ex-girlfriend for him?
Why did they have a romance or something like that?
She tried something like that. She thought there was something going on there. I saw an episode.
Leonard's mom. Yeah, I remember how Leonard's mom is, yeah.
Yeah, and they wound up, like, doing a paper together, and then she wound up in the end of the episode trying to kiss Sheldon. No. She referred the guy at the bar. Yeah.
Well, and that's, I guess, to go on about my favorite show, The Big Bang Theory.
Fair enough. I'll go on about my shows in just a bit.
To go on, like, I think that the other thing that's weird about Amy and Sheldon's relationship is that they didn't do things like, I don't think they ever even kissed. I think they might have kissed, like, one time.
From what I've seen for little bits and pieces, waiting for something else to come on, it was always the joke that, no, he didn't. He wasn't even trying for a kiss and all that, and she wound up getting her hopes up. Ha ha ha. Her dreams are shattered once again.
Well, yeah, and speaking of dreams, like, I don't know how many times now they've done, like, a little dream sequence where, like, Sheldon and Amy finally get together, and they finally, like, sometimes they actually, like, sleep together or something like whatever it is.
No, it's just like her daydreaming.
Just one character or another. Sometimes it's Leonard, sometimes it's Sheldon, sometimes it's Amy. There's always somebody it was somebody's dream. So.
Yeah, maybe it's good to retire that old horse, eh?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And one last thing. I think that Sheldon needs, because she's a biologist, I think Sheldon should be with someone who is more...
he does seem to have very little respect for the other sciences.
Yeah, well, Sheldon has little respect for anybody except for himself, I think, because he thinks he's doing the best thing in the world, which I admire as a quality.
If you don't think you're doing the best thing in the world, why aren't you trying to do the best thing in the world instead?
Absolutely, yeah.
So
that's what I was going to say.
That said, I respect all the hard sciences and begrudgingly respect at least some of the soft sciences. There's some I have reservations about. But I'm not
now, biology is a hard science, right?
It's a squishy hard science.
It's a squishy hard science.
It's hard, well, because you're dealing with creatures with brains in a lot of cases. You get that weird thing of, like, the black box of, like, is this what it's supposed to do due to genetics, or is this like a learned trait, and then you got to work things out.
Yeah. Okay.
Other stuff you can work out easily enough, like predator, like prey population dynamics. Very beautiful things going on that way.
Okay.
But yeah. It has its weird bits because we're dealing with creatures that can learn and adapt. So it's like, you're messing with my data. You dang learning.
But yeah, I want to see Sheldon with a mathematician type, or like somebody who's maybe into theoretical mathematics. Not physics, because that's Sheldon's area, but I think mathematics. I think that would be an interesting, because do you remember that XKCD comic with the hierarchy of the sciences? Like, chemistry is just applied physics, and biology.
It works along the old joke that when you go from like high school to like post-secondary stuff, is biology becomes chemistry, chemistry becomes physics, and physics becomes math.
Yeah. So if you wanted to one-up Sheldon, That's what I'm saying, because he's a theoretical physicist.
You got to be a theoretical
last I
mathematician.
remember. Yeah, I imagine a mathematician would be the right way to go on that. And then sometimes it loops back around to philosophy, because a philosopher could say, well, why do we even care about what math as like human beings? Like, what is so intriguing about math? Like, shouldn't we just be caring about, our next meal or things like that? So
well,
if
you got a degree for that, then I guess that is where your next meal is technically coming from.
Yeah. I don't know. And then, it loops back around to philosophy back down to sociology, to biology, to chemistry, to physics, and so that's how I see it. But so enough about the Big Bang Theory.
How about what I've been doing this week?
Let's move on to your stuff. Yeah.
So I guess I have to rescind the fact that I called myself a Time Lord last week, because I got things wrong. Mm-hmm. The season premiere of The Flash doesn't occur this last week. It occurs this upcoming Tuesday. So it's like, okay. Because last time, I left, like Barry Allen running around the accretion disk of a black hole. I kind of want to see how that pans out,
Mm-hmm.
So, there's at least that thing I want to see. But I did get a chance to watch an episode of The Muppets. Josh Groban was on there. Yay!
Cool.
Celebrity cameos aplenty.
Yeah, and the classic Muppets.
Oh, very much so. People being themselves, like Josh Groban was acting like what Josh Groban was.
Yeah.
But then you had, I think it was Lawrence Fishburne, just like cursing off Kermit sort of thing. It's like Kermit's driving his cart around the lot, and Lawrence Fishburne's, hey, Kermit, I saw your show last night. It sucked. And then later on he comes up, sorry about that. I didn't really mean it, and I had a bad night. Because I watched your show and it sucked. And then, it goes off. And just the fun sort of over the top. This is me to the power of n sort of thing that actors and actresses really kind of dig doing. So that was kind of nice to see and all that. The Muppets voices weren't the original Muppets voices, because so many of them were voiced by Jim Henson, but they are doing their best to make certain they're as close as possible.
Do they have all our favorites? Gonzo, Fozzie, Piggy, Miss
Fozzie.
Piggy.
The one I saw, Fozzie had a very nice thing where he got invited to Jay Leno's house.
Oh,
Jay Leno was there. It was, Jay Leno had a bit on there. It was, yay, Jay. And all that sort of thing. Miss Piggy and all that sort of thing. The entire crew was there.
Rolf the dog, Scooter the nerd.
I didn't see Rolf, but there was Scooter, there was Beaker, Bunsen and Beaker there.
Beaker, Swedish Chef.
Oh yeah. He apparently made a dirty joke.
Okay.
But you can't tell because it's in his crazy Swedish.
Oh, I see. In Swedish, that crazy language they talk over in Swedeland, whatever it is.
It's like in Sweden, they have Swedish. The Swedish chef isn't speaking any real language.
He's the Isn't that what they have? He's the Norwegian chef.
He's the Norwegian chef in
Sweden.
Yeah. But I mean, I can. It's weird because I've listened to him long enough. I can get the gist of what he's saying. So it's like, I think I know what joke he gave. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, well, it's kind of English, mangled English, really.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's just he can say a bunch of things. It's just the way how he intimates it seems to have a way. So yeah, about Josh Groban and Miss Piggy, sort of dating sort of jokes. I think I know which way he went.
Okay, all right.
You make up whatever joke you want on that sort of thing. It's all good. So I enjoyed that. That said, it is on at the same time as Flash. And I don't think I'll be watching it unless The Flash is a rerun. I hate to say it, because I love the Muppets. I love them so dearly, and they seem like they're firing well, and things are going right for them.
Okay, yeah.
I am so invested in The Flash. And there's an accretion disk of a black hole! It's like 21, teron electron volts he has to, counter as he's running on the debris going into the accretion disk of a black hole. The Muppets are good, but how can you compete with that? Well. I did get the chance to see the season premiere for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3. Whee! I dug it. Good protagonists, sort of thing going on there. Like, Fitz is, trying to find what happened to Emma, and he's tracking down leads and all that, and he's becoming a real hard-ass, making deals with terrorists and then betraying them and running away and all that sort of thing. It's like, whoa, Fitz, this is not you in Season 1. Coulson with his hand sort of thing. It doesn't feel right. He's on his third hand, and the new hand never feels right. How things are progressing for that. The antagonists are good. There's a new mundane protagonist, the fish oil stuff that's transmitting the Terrigen crystals and causing people to become inhumans. There's a government-sponsored thing about that, now, and the head of that is the new, mundane, antagonist. So, yay. Meanwhile, there is what I heavily suspect to be a Kree killer, trying to kill off all of them, these Inhumans, and that's, I think one person described it as like a dreadlocked Hulk with supernatural powers. And it's like, that's a pretty good way of describing it. Yeah, this is a guy who can beat you physically, and then he's got the extra skills to pull things off. So yeah, there you go. Fired on all stuff for me. Even the people that said the first 2 seasons have been slow, they're saying this is what it was supposed to be like in season 1. This is finally them reaching. It's like, so yeah, I'm not the only one thinking, this is good. I loved it. That said, it was the only time I watched an episode where it wasn't like so much stuff going at such a breakneck speed. It's like okay, break, commercial break. What do you mean we're only 20 minutes in? This has been so much stuff happening. Oh my gosh. This one was very tight-knit and very, very smoothly flowed. And so by the time it's like, that's an hour already. My goodness. So I enjoyed it from that end, too.
Nice.
2 thumbs up, I suppose.
Oh, good.
I recommend it for anyone. If you saw season 1 and found it to be slow and not to your liking, this might be the season to really start picking up again. Try again and see if it captures your interest. It's got people using powers. It's got monsters. It's got a man with a bionic hand who should technically, by all rights, be dead, running an organization that was dismantled and is, gone in the public eye.
Mm-hmm.
A ghost organization being run by a dead man. Come on.
Ooh, cool.
yeah, right? So I dug that. In other realms of reality, I played a new video game.
Ooh.
I saw something online. It's like, this thing is called Titan's Forge. Play as a god. Now, I look it up. The reviews seem to be pretty positive, so I download it. It's free to play.
Cool.
It's not level-based. They're trying something like with the Final Fantasy where you've got like ability skills in like a circle and you buy them. But right now it's very linear. So it's like I just get enough points to spend and say, hey, I got 50 red points. I'll buy the next thing on the list for the red points. Yay. It's a little weird. It's European. It's made by a joint my.com website and something out of a Russian thing. So I was a little worried, Russian, they're going to put a bug in my computer. No. Mm-hmm. So it's all on the level. Let's see how to describe this. The character creation is very robust. Not as good as like the City of Heroes with the amount of options you had there. But it's very good. Some weird sliders for determining what your character looks like. The ladies did have a bust slider to determine, the breast size.
Mm-hmm.
That said, both genders have a butt size slider. Do you want a small butt or you want a big butt? There you go. You could do a body mass thing, so if you want to be, kind of overweight, you can do that. I do note you can be much more overweight as a guy than you can be as a lady.
All right.
Or you can work it for being lean and lanky or being like really buff. Like how much like body tone do you want to show? So that was all kind of interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I create up 2 characters, one on an American server and one on like a European server, because you can only have 1 character per server. I'm testing things out. I'm enjoying it. It seems a little weird though. We're in a weird like future planet. You got flying taxi cabs, holographic people, but no machine guns or any actual firearms. But the one guy I've got has the ability to like manipulate cryonic energy and just like freeze his opponents to death over a distance. So I guess maybe projectiles are really passé. I don't know if I'll keep playing it forever and all that sort of thing, but I am enjoying it, at least for a while. Very beautiful graphics, just wonderful. I might want to try finding like a way to get the music. Very good orchestral music going on, so that's good. I kind of prefer my grittier, my more supernatural stuff from the Secret World.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Where this said you do have 3 classes and you can change back and forth between them for the Skyforge thing, and that's kind of nice. It's like, oh boy, like they need a tank. I can be a tank. Everybody can be a tank.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of nice sort of thing. So you don't have to get stuck in the one role like where you're playing World of Warcraft. Where it's like, oh, tank, I guess got to roll a new character, level them up to the max, and then gear them all up. You're the one character you can take all your basic rolls, heal, damage, and tanking. So there you go.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
That's it. I haven't played too far, and I'm just doing a little bit. And they do give daily bonus awards, so every once in a while I'll log in, run around in a circle, get my bonus, and then I go, okay, I got other stuff to do. But yeah, I'm enjoying that right now, sort of thing. My computer can handle it. I'm not having any processing glitches, and I might just wind up just exploring and looking at things for now. That said, it does rather play like World of Warcraft, sort of thing. Like, okay, you're into an area here, you got to beat up all these rat men, and go to another area, you got to beat up like Naga, sort of thing.
Okay, is it a world like an open world that you can run anywhere?
No,
like World
you
of
start
Warcraft?
off in like a few like main areas in the big city, which I don't believe has a name yet that I figured out.
Oh yeah.
There's like a big thing in the center of the one area where you're like, oh hey, people put up like emergency hotspots, like, we need help here, or, oh, we need help there. And what you do is you're like, okay, I'll use my data pad and I just teleport there, and then you're at the zone.
I see.
So it's kind of weird that way, but I'm digging it. The concept is interesting. You are an immortal or a god. Death doesn't stick to you. And so but you're not the only one. You are not the main character. There are literally thousands of these gods on this world, and you get to actually see a scene where they're looking at various things going on. It's like, I choose this one, I'll pop there, and woo, teleport, sort of thing. It's like, wow. And I had a thought occur to me, like as a campaign, because I came up with back for 3rd edition, the Altar of True Resurrection, where you'd like. Anybody, as provided they don't die of old age, can come back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen stuff for like the Black Cauldron, where you have like an infinite army of minions. They, you kill one and its essence goes back to the Black Cauldron, and you can summon them out again.
Right.
I think Link and Ganon did it back in the cartoons as well. It's like all his minions are coming out of like some sort of crazy source thing. And so I've seen it work as villains, but the concept of heroes, like an infinite army of immortal heroes, effectively. You can kill them, but they're not going to stay dead.
Mm-hmm. They're
going to keep getting back up and fighting once more. And for some reason, they're all fighting on the side of goodness. And it's like, whoa.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to wind up playing more just to see the storyline and how that sort of thing goes, because I'm digging the concept for a campaign. Other news, I'm getting so close in Minecraft to being able to get that Mistcraft thing I want.
You have Mistcraft, like another card?
In
Mistcraft,
you get various pages.
Page, okay.
And you can use these pages to assemble a book, and how you put the pages in determines it. Like, for instance, you can create a world with 5 moons. You can create a world with 5 suns, moving in different directions, or not at all. You can determine the color of the sun, the color of the sunset it gives when it sets, all sorts of stuff like that. And what I want to create is a void world. It's nothing. Just like when I spawn into it, there will be a 5x5 area of cobblestone for me to stand on, and that is it. And so I took some time, sat down, and started working things out, because the grammar is not always intuitive. Like if I was to ask for a sky, and I was to use blue color, red color, white color, sky color as for my pages. What sort of thing would you get out of that? Blue color, red color, and then we'll say white color.
Pink?
No, you would actually get a light purple. It would combine the 2 pages into one color for the color, and then take that new color it's assembled. So the red and the blue become purple, and I would combine that with the other one, which we'll say white, turns it into the lighter purple.
Okay.
And then that combines it to like the sky. So you have to organize your pages very methodically to get the colors you want.
Okay.
So I had to work all that sort of stuff out, make sure it goes right. And there's a page called Gradient, where you can have it change colors. So I could have like a sky that pulsates different colors. And that's what I'm going to have it do. It's going to switch between like a magenta to like a purple color.
Yes.
And I've got it set so it'll go fairly fast. Hopefully fast enough. If not, I can speed it up a little bit more. So it'll be like a doof, doof, doof color in the background.
Oh, like a heartbeat kind of.
Almost sort of thing. I'm going to check to see if
pace.
I'm going to save, do a little save scumming first on this sort of thing because I want to make sure I get it right in one.
So when you first said fast, I was like, oh, like a epileptic cartoon type, like Dragon Ball Z
apparently
style.
You can have it change up to once a minute, and that's the highest end that people have gotten. That's where it maxes out. So I'll have it just as a slowly like pulsating color, and I'll have 4 sets of stars twinkling and twirling in different directions.
Ooh.
Yes, it's going to look absolutely beautiful, I hope. There is a potential that my colors aren't going to work right, or that they're not going to come out as I imagine them to, and it's going to wind up being just a garishly unholy combination of colors that just make your eyes want to vomit.
Mm.
So, I'm going to get this right, double check everything out. And I'm down to needing 6 pages. And you can get pages either by like exploring the land, just like, oh hey, there's a treasure chest, might have some pages in there. Trading with the proper villagers, they've got Mistcraft villagers. Or creating a new world and going in there, and every new world you create, or age in there, has a small little area where you can get more pages. So hooray! And because I have a villager spawner that I've put above a smeltery from the Tinker's Construct, I can get the characters I don't need tossed in there and have them smelted down into emeralds, which I can then use to buy the pages I want.
Okay.
And it's getting so very close. All I need is the right colors and the right ways to declare, like, I want the... Like, it'll be... The water won't be blue in the new world. If I do it right, it'll be a shimmery silver, light cyan sort of color. It'll be very nice, I think. And I've got that set up, but that took me a lot of time to do it. The villagers either trade one random page or a book that's got 15 pages in it. And it's occurred to me, as I'm getting these various books and looking inside for the stuff, oh, got it, need it, got it, need it, got it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as Magic the Gathering when you buy a booster pack.
Oh, yes.
And I'm trying to get, the complete set.
Yeah.
And it's just oh my god, I have got so many pages where I can call down meteors. I have an urge just to create a basic common world, completely mundane, except that meteors come raining down like crazy.
Oh yeah.
You've watched the stuff with the Yogscast guys, right?
Yes.
You remember Christmas Land?
Oh,
look at it! It's
yeah.
It's Christmas. What the hell is that? Whoa, boom! Am I on fire all of a sudden? Does the sky make me go on fire? And various stuff like that. And they're, oh my god, I saw 3 more of them coming down. I'm bored. Get on out of here as soon as you can. By the way, the better solution, instead of trying to work your way back to the spot where you put down your book, is always travel with 2 books. One to place down, and then one for an emergency, get the heck out of here and never return book.
Yeah.
You should always do that sort of thing. It's nice to have that adventuring gear when you're going out, safety gear sort of thing.
Yep.
But I've got so many pages that do meteors. I could just create a world that does nothing but meteors. Put some obsidian above myself because they won't shatter obsidian, and then just watch. Just watch as the world around me gets obliterated by crashing meteors.
That sounds fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice way to blow some time on a few pages. Probably not going to be able to find the structure that'll get me the more pages. But you know what? In the meantime, I'll just enjoy watching the world burn around me for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? So I've gotten that. That's doing pretty good close. It's getting frustrating. I catch myself actually doing the alt-tabbing out as I just let more villagers burn up and smelt down to emeralds so I can trade for another. Each book is 20 emeralds. So it's like over 2 blocks of emeralds they're asking for. So it takes a little while to generate that much up. I think a villager will give enough for 1/4 of an emerald. I have to kill a lot of villagers.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of regretting not killing all the villagers I've ever seen just to really pump up the charge on my soul stone so I can get more. But, oh well, whatever. I'll be a mass murdering homicide some other time.
Mm-hmm.
I can actually create a world that'll have villages in it, and then I'll just go around killing everything. I suppose, at some point. But that's not who I am right now. That's not what I'm doing. I did manage to hook up the Jabba stuff, my better barrels, through B-Space, and have my ore processing stuff where I can get ore from the ore berries, and I can get them smelted out and stored away as bars and even cubes. So that's kind of nice. Hooray! Other than that, it's been a little slow going, just trying to get, I had to spend an entire night, not even playing the game, but just trying to figure out, okay, how many times do I have to declare no sun in order to guarantee that there will be no sun? And so as it turns out, you can say, I would like a purple sun, and it'll do that. But there's also a chance it'll say, you declared 1, but there's 5 potential slots, and I'm going to say, just randomly, there are 4 suns on your planet, and I'm going to randomly create the other 3.
Oh, I see.
It'll auto-fill in, sort of thing. And so it's if you want it exactly how you desire, you kind of have to force it. So if I don't want any sun in my void world, I have to declare dark sun or no sun 5 times.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe even a 6th, but I think 5 should pretty much cover it.
Yeah.
So I have to do that, and I'm double-checking this, and I don't want my void to generate with strongholds or mine shafts in the middle of nothing going on there.
Okay.
So I have to find ways okay, maybe I put ravines in there. So I'm thinking of 4 things of ravines and a star fissure, which means if I fall down to the bottom of the map, instead of dying, it'll just teleport me to the overworld.
Oh yeah.
Which seems rather handy, and hey, I don't die. So I might be stuck without my spaceship to get back there, or without any link, so I have to I'll take the long way back all over again, but at least I'm not dead with all my equipment at the bottom of infinity.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. I've also been doing some work on 5th edition. I've been trying to create my brutes sort of thing for a race.
Oh yes, the beastmen or whatever they are.
Beastmen, brutes sort of thing. I'm calling them brutes because that way they can have my brute strength check, as an ability sort of thing.
Good. Yeah.
They're basically not that far off of. I will admit, not that far off of half orcs.
Yeah.
But what I want to do for this concept of what I'm doing is recreate the villainous races as to something you can both be okay with opposing as well as respect.
Yeah.
And right now, the god I've got for them, the god of the hunt sort of thing, has gone from just some brutal god of slaughter into kill a creature on a hunt and then use every part of the body. Kind of a noble savage sort of thing. Oh yes, they use every part of the creature they kill. It just so happens in this case you can eat humans because sometimes you don't hunt animals. Sometimes you hunt other living creatures. Mm-hmm. So not a good god, but something you can respect. Here's the thing, don't waste the body. Don't if you kill a creature, you should honor it. Don't disparage its nobility by leaving its body to rot behind. Make use of it. Do something with that. So something it's a villain, and they're going to wind up, using our flesh as leather armor if they kill us, but they will give us a quick and honorable death. We won't wind up getting enslaved, and they will use as much of us as they possibly can.
Goody.
So, hey, it's at least you're getting that good, much good out of it, right? So I'm slowly working on that, but I had a mental tangent, and I came up with a new monk archetype.
Okay.
I had a theory back in 3.5 about, because I was playing a chronomancer in one of your campaigns.
Yes.
And I was thinking about how you could have a monk with abilities based around chronomancy. And because I am absolutely horrible with names and I love a good pun, I wound up calling this hypothetical monk, discipline, Deja Vu, the feeling you've kicked this ass before.
Okay, yeah.
But it suddenly occurred to me, for 5th edition, you could do that as an archetype.
Okay.
The ability to regenerate your wounds by saying oh no, I did a choice and that creature never hit me, that's why I'm not wounded anymore. That's not that far off from the open hand path sort of thing. In which case, instead of doing 3 times your monk level for hit points regenerated. I did twice as many hit as your monk level, and you get rid of poisons and other effects.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh no, I never got hit by that blinding acid. It missed me. What are you talking about? You reorder the pass to make sure you're in a better state of health. It's the same mechanic. It's just how you word it and like how it happens.
I see. Yeah. It's neat.
Yeah, I was looking at the stuff because the fun part with the monk is they have like the one that's effectively elemental casting, right? Where you can cast like basically spells like, oh hey, wall of fire, elemental bending from like the Avatar series, effectively.
Yeah.
But with looser restrictions, you can go all over your elements. And so I was looking at that for some stuff, and I think I've come up with a nice ability. You know how a paladin can hit a creature and then say, oh yeah, and that was a smiting attack, you're evil, so that way I do the extra damage? Picture this. Monk hits you. That monk decides, okay, I'm going to use my separate of, like a flow effect. You now flow slower through time, and I move faster. The monk gains haste, you gain slow. As long as you are slowed, the monk is hasted. Up to 1 round per level. Mm-hmm. Short or long rest, regains it, but you can only do that once, as opposed to like the cost so many key points to do it, or chi points to make it happen. Mm-hmm. And then finally, for 17th level ability, would wind up being that the monk is able to take both options. Because when you're looking at the future, there's a lot of, do I go left or do I go right? The monk has found a way to do both, and thus become 2 people for a limited time. So you can do twice as much damage, but you'd share the same amount of hit points. You'd wind up being vulnerable to AoE effects. Mm-hmm. Like, oh no, you're a treant, you're vulnerable to fire. No, you're a monk, you're vulnerable to area of effect this way. And then when the duration ends, you take 1d6 damage for every 5 feet away the 2 of you are removed, because you're disrupting the flow of harmony. Your paths should meet up again at the end, right? Mm-hmm. And so that way you could do a decent amount of damage in a short amount of time, but you are more vulnerable to some effects, and if you're not doing it right, you're going to hurt yourself come the end of it. So I think it's fairly balanced. I'll have to double check the mechanics, see how long the duration goes and all that. But I think I can write this up and then like put it out for people to enjoy.
That'd be great.
Which will be easier now than ever, because I found about GIMP. For the
oh yeah.
It's effectively a freeware version of the Photoshop.
Yeah, so you can do a sort of graphicked up version of this
I can make it
monk
look like
archetype.
Something that somebody ripped out of a player's handbook.
Yeah, okay, that'll be fun.
I'll have to find, because I do want to do, like I could download, Photoshop and do this illegally, but if I'm going to use GIMP with its freeware stuff, I guess I should keep it legal. If I'm going to put artwork in there, I'm going to make sure it's like public domain art.
Yeah, sometimes you find people will release, it's not the best art, but sometimes people just put up their own art just for anybody to like Creative Commons art.
Sketches of like a monk kicking someone's arse, and it's like, there you go, there's the background image, and there's something on the side, and I'll work it around. So I will have to sit down, download it, and work the whole thing out. So this might be slow progression before it gets out, because, dude, I'm doing the Skyforge, I'm doing the Minecraft, I'm doing the shows on TV, I'm doing work, I'm being a father, I'm being a husband. So it's like, but I do want to learn. And now that I know I can make something that looks professionally produced, well, that's one less excuse to produce something professionally styled, right? Mm-hmm. So there we go. So
well, yeah, I hope that becomes reality, and we can. I can put a link if you do upload it. I can put a link, or we might host it on one of the blogs that we have.
I think it would
be
just free for public distribution and enjoyment.
Cool.
Although I think I could work like some other stuff, like you know how the sorcerer has like the chance for like random chaos effects for like the chaos sorcerer.
Yeah.
I could do something like that. Every time you're a monk and you wind up doing something, you got to make a check to make sure weird, like chrono effects happen, or don't happen.
That's kind of fun. Yeah.
Like water starts dripping the wrong way, or tea, unboils. Sort of thing. Or it winds up, cooling super fast, in the area, all of a sudden all your food is cold, it's been out for hours.
Yeah, and didn't we talk about a few of those, like milk turns into cheese and stuff?
Or curdles, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Little things, nothing that would affect a living creature, even an insect sort of thing. Just keep it like weird background events. Mm-hmm. Nothing too major, but good flavor thing. Dude, this is a guy messing around with time. How do you know he's messing around with time? Dude curdled your milk, and then when he punched somebody, it uncurdled. He punched someone so hard the milk 10 feet away uncurdled. Dude, harsh.
Yeah.
And, so long as it doesn't, affect things. I mean, like, heck, I might even wind up putting up, like, a third level thing where, like, one of the monk's abilities is that they just suddenly stop aging. There's no max age. You don't age anymore. That's it. Like, what's that going to do? How's that going to affect your combat? When was the last time you had a character die of old age in D&D? So it's like one of those non-ability abilities that you could wind up giving them. Immortality by level 3. So it'll be fun, I think. Just looking around there, maybe I'll stay, make it spread out. You'll actually gain immortality at level 17, but you get other aging effects and immunities and whatnot, and as you go. Until then, I'll double check. I'll sit down. I'll meditate on this sort of thing, which seems right for making a monk.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been my week. A lot of stuff, a lot of new ideas, and a lot of new testing out.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought of something too.
Shoot for the moon.
Coming up in November, are you going to say something?
It suddenly occurred to me one thing that popped out recently in the Secret World.
Oh, okay.
They have recently put out motorcycles as a way for you to drive from A to B.
Ooh, motorcycle.
It looks good and all that, but they put out a new thing for October 2015.
Okay.
It's a hoverboard. You can't do it that much in real life, but you can be Marty McFly in the Secret World.
Yeah, okay.
Dig it.
That's cool, yeah. I was going to say, yeah, speaking of it being the month, not October, but we have November coming up, and that means it is NaNoWriMo coming up.
Yes. I have an idea. Like, I had, as I said, I came up with the idea, this is something I could write. My plate's pretty full, but I might have to, write all these notes down and just move it onto the back thing, and so I focus for NaNoWriMo.
Indeed. So, I had an idea for NaNoWriMo. What I wanted to do was, I worked out how many pages I want to do NaNoWriMo in Minecraft.
Oh.
Because you can write books in Minecraft.
Yes.
So I worked out you need 24 written books, which is doesn't sound like that daunting. You can fit those all in one chest, right?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
So I was thinking, basically start up a new world. So that what you have to do in order to even start NaNoWriMo, and basically start it on November 1st or whatever.
Yeah.
So create a brand new world, survival mode and whatever.
Get yourself a cow farm and a reed farm, yeah.
Cows. You'll have to kill some squid for the ink, and some chickens for the feathers. Yeah. And then feed yourself and whatever else you need to do.
That's the thing. I have the Eggy Goodness mod. All I need is the chickens, and I can start toasting up their eggs.
Yeah, okay.
I am eating egg salad sandwiches left, right, and center whenever I feel like it.
So you start a brand new world just with that purpose in mind, and you build a chest or a little house or whatever to write in with you can make a nice little workspace with some torches and stuff, and maybe bookshelves around just for ambiance of it all. But yeah, get down to writing and just you have to fill up 24 Minecraft books.
Or, mind you, if you are going with the Bibliocraft, they do have other styles for that. So you could possibly make it just one book a day.
Well, I find it more intriguing to have that vanilla idea of...
The incredible
I like the number
limitation
24.
Of the small, yeah.
Yeah,
it is a pair of 12s, and I do know you do like your base 12.
I do, yeah. I like that number 12. But yeah...
You non-metric weirdo.
Well, it could be metric in some ways. That's all. I think I might go ahead and do that. Just in order for a way to frame NaNoWriMo, because in years past I've sort of I started off, really had a lot of fun the first couple of days writing, thousands of words. It's like, oh, this is awesome, I'm getting through it. And then, I'll take a day off and another day, and then...
No, that's how it starts, man. That's how it starts. You never start by saying, I'll take a day off.
Yeah,
but you take a day off when you're 5,000 words ahead. Yeah, that's how you work it.
Maybe something like that. But yeah, so my strategy this year for NaNoWriMo is to put it in this sort of shell of Minecraft, and I think that might actually...
That'll be interesting. You end up sharing that world. You keep it vanilla, share that world with the people when you're done, right?
Yeah, I was thinking I might make an Imgur album of my little writing base and everything, because it's self-contained world. I might even do a YouTube something like. And then share the world, because obviously you can't. It'd be 24 books of 50 pages each, so it'd be a lot of pages to share as Imgur images. But
you just share the save world file sort of thing, zip it and put it up on a file storage.
I wonder, if you there must be a way to access the world saves. Like, they must save the books with text as some kind of text. So it's probably
I
accessible.
believe it's in there. I can double check that, but it should all be there. 'Cause I've done that with my world. I've copied it, saved it, backed up. Like, I lost a day earlier this week on Minecraft because I was mucking around with 2 mods that turned out to be so incompatible they crashed my game. Corrupted it permanently, couldn't log in. So I had to backtrack it and then not do what I did. Time travel, hooray.
I think that would be that's an interesting way to even publish a book itself, though, is not publish, any text files or anything, just that save game world, like, never go very far from spawn, so as soon as, like, someone opens up the world, they're like, okay, right there,
Well, they would be where you would have saved and logged off at.
Yeah, so stick around spawn, as long as there's, you're not in a desert or something where there's,
I
can't
love
get
deserts.
the cows. Well, there's no cows in
Yeah,
the
it took me a long time to get cows.
So that was my big idea, which I think I might go ahead.
That's pretty groovy.
Try.
It's conceptually awesome.
Don't know what I'll write, but that's
write the tale of the pre-Steve.
Yeah.
Steve that used to be.
I mean, there's been a lot of Minecraft fiction. Some, like, it's funny because you can find in bookstores now, you can find whole novels of Minecraft. I guess it's
a lot
kind
of
of
how-to
fan
books
fiction.
sort of thing going on there.
Yeah,
too.
but there's also there's how-to and there's
the building
fan
stuff
fiction.
looks very interesting. I would prefer more schematics myself from what I saw, but whatever. Not everyone's big on the schematics.
Yeah, like I think there's you can buy a whole book on Redstone.
Redstone, how to use it. To be fair, there is some harsh stuff for the Redstone comparators and how to use logic gates.
Yeah.
It is effectively a programming book.
Yeah, which is, that's pretty cool for, because this is a game, well, it's for all ages, but it's also to get kids involved in it. So if kids are,
I'm going to
getting introduced.
Playing it with Zoe when she can use my wife's computer, and then I don't know what my wife's going to wind up doing, because we're both going to be using the computers together. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, so the kids, they get into the logic gates and stuff in Minecraft, and then it's not that far a leap to stuff like computer programming,
if-then loops,
electronics, and stuff like that.
Then while loops, oh my goodness. C++, C star, ooh.
Which, I extol the virtues of Minecraft in Redstone and stuff, but I actually hardly ever, I make doors. I make a door that opens when you push on the pressure plate. So that's about as complicated as I do in Minecraft.
I've tried some other stuff. I find there are other ways for me to work what I need in most cases. But, I got mods aplenty, so I guess I'm kind of cheating one way or another.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I made a cow conveyor system, with pens for all the cows, and then it's supposed to let one cow through at a time, from each pen, which kind of worked, but then I dismantled it after a while. So
I just don't have enough redstone for my needs. I need a lot of redstone.
Oh yeah, my world, I have more redstone than I can.
Well, it's because you got a very long world. I'm going to catch
up
to you by making this void world where I can store my stuff, start a new world, start fresh, and then just put that in as some place to go to journey to, and then just accumulate all my riches of various realities together. I'll enjoy that. But yes, I'm going to want to talk about one other thing I did, and this is going to segue into the topic we got. I watched Man of Steel finally. It is so sad for me to say I cannot recommend it.
Oh, okay.
It is slow. If flashbacks were a cancer, this thing would be, metastasized and in very bad shape. This thing is riddled with flashbacks.
Too much, and you don't like flashbacks, or are they done wrong?
Flashbacks, when done right, are very good. This one had flashbacks almost continually, and they really slowed the pace of the movie down. And that was kind of harsh, sort of thing. Kevin Costner, I guess, makes a good dad, for Clark Kent. But, Russell Crowe is just an amazing Jor-El.
Okay, cool.
There were some things I did like. Lois Lane figures out who this super character is. She's not Superman yet by the time she finds out, but she's able to track down who this person is through his deeds, what he's done. She does investigative journalistic reporting to figure out where he's from. So hooray, a smart Lois Lane.
She figures out he's from Krypton?
Not from Krypton, but from Smallville.
Oh.
She's able to trace him back through all his deeds and weirdness and events back to the town of Smallville.
Okay.
So, like all the other Lois Lanes, it's like she's working around Clark Kent. She's got a love interest with Superman, but she doesn't realize the two are the same. Real good investigative senses there, Lois. It's right there in front of you. Nothing. And Lois Lane's in a very unique position on this one. She's getting rescued by Superman, seeing him and getting the romantic, like hearty, flutters going on. And she's working with Clark Kent.
Mm-hmm.
They're right there. They're right there in her face. Mm-hmm. The average person of Metropolis, they see Superman rocketing through the sky up, in the distance, and, maybe they cross the street and there's Clark Kent walking the other way. Of course they don't put the two of them together. That would be absurd, but Lois Lane is right there. Both Kent and Superman are right there, like, in front of her eyes, like, every dang day. Well, at least every work day. I don't know. It's like she takes the weekends off and just crashes in her apartment or whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like around them. They are there. She talks to them, and she doesn't see it. But this one she does before she even knows Clark Kent. She's able to track down who this super person is.
Okay.
I dug that. That was really good. A smart Lois Lane. Yeah, man.
Okay. Yeah, about time.
Well, it's nice to see her being an investigative reporter and actually discovering stuff in an investigative manner. Superman doesn't even really make an appearance as anything super-like till well after an hour in the movie. They could have made a movie called Krypton, detailing Jor-El, and his problems, and like the recent history of Krypton and why people think he's nuts. Why is the core collapsing? What's going on? The wonderful sights. Krypton in the Silver and Golden Age had amazing sights. They had moons that... One of them got blown up. That's why they don't go into space anymore. Somebody mucked up and blew up a moon. Wow. They had a mountain that was made out of jewels, and it was just like a crystalline mountain. It's like, whoa, dude, why aren't you having that for a set piece? And things going on there. So what they could have done is like turn this into 2 movies. And done like Krypton. If it was just a movie with Jor-El and General Zod's attempted uprising in the final days of Krypton, I'd enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Anybody who watches Superman and learns about like him coming from Krypton should have these questions like, what is Krypton like? What's going on there? What's the story? Why did a planet blow up? Have something that answers it definitively.
So this was all in flashbacks, and you think it would have been better if it was just
this part wasn't even in flashback. That was like a prelude. Like half the movie was like a prelude of stuff going on Krypton, explaining how everything gets set up for later on in the movie.
Okay. So it's kind of like an origin story.
It is definitely his origin story, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, you could have gone with like Krypton. It's just like a pre-story sort of thing with that. Done the Man of Steel, just involving him, deciding to become like the Superman. Because in the comics, yes, after he graduates high school, Clark Kent spends about 3 years going around the world, just kind of like bumming around and just figuring out who he is. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I guess people he saves people, around the world. In which case he blurs his face, and so like he's just referred to as like that blurred face for the guy who's saved the day when like no one else could have possibly done that. Mm-hmm. And then he decides like, hey, like Superman, I got to really do this. It's like this is my full-time gig. I guess I'll get something that pays the bills on the side, but this is what I'm doing with my life. So that would have been a good story to have. Why does a man choose to become Superman?
I see. Yeah.
Because if you get that answer, why does Clark Kent decide to become Superman, and then you have understood Superman, you could write infinite Superman stories.
Does Superman have to sleep?
Most cases, yes. Some Silver Age stuff when he was able to move planets around, no. But yeah, he does in most countries, especially in the modern ones. Yeah, he crashes, he sleeps. He does get woken up by sounds like 5 alarm fires going off. It's
right.
The same as your alarm clock going off. Yeah, that's the sad life Superman has to live.
Yeah. Well,
but here's the thing that occurred to me is DC has got its green eyes. They are envious of the Marvel machine with its movies.
Yeah.
The Man of Steel came out a couple of years ago. We're still going to wait till next year for the Batman versus Superman thing. It is a very slow pace at which these movies are coming out. And you know what? Maybe that's not too bad. You do want to make sure you get the job done right. Mm-hmm. But Marvel's producing it so many times that you've only got to wait a couple months for another Marvel movie to come out, man. That is awesome. You don't even have to wait years for this, man. You got just a couple more months, man. Just wait till the fall, there'll be another movie. Or just wait till this winter. Just wait till the spring, there'll be another one coming out, man. They got you covered. And DC is envious. And I'm watching the movie, Man of Steel, and I'm thinking to myself, no. You guys, like, it's not a bad movie. It's not something I can recommend, but it's not a bad movie. Don't get me wrong. It's not like just, oh, God, it's a travesty. I want to burn the copy and tell the library, no, I never rented it in the first place. You guys are mistaken. It's not that bad. So don't get me wrong. When I say I can't recommend it, that doesn't mean it's a travesty. It's a horrible thing. It's just not what I was wanting or hoping for, or what I think even a Superman thing is about.
Okay.
That said, I'm watching, I'm thinking, you guys could have done this like this. Krypton, its own movie.
The movie's called Krypton?
Krypton, yeah. Krypton.
Okay.
The final days of the thing ends with the baby getting shot into space, headed towards Earth. Ultimately ends with Krypton exploding, of course.
Okay.
You wind up with General Zod getting imprisoned, sort of thing, into the whole Phantom Zone, whatnot, and all that, sent to rehabilitative care in orbit around the planet, which winds up saving his life, along with the other stuff, the other Kryptonians that were, part of his rebellion. There you go. Tell the wonderful story of the final days of Krypton, a beautiful pre-apocalyptic story. There's been a lot of post-apocalyptics. This is a nice pre-apocalyptic one, in a nice space vein, something that touches on the nerves of like the Star Trek and Star Wars sort of movies.
Pre-apocalypse. So the planet at the end of the movie, the planet blows up.
Boom! Krypton explodes, baby.
And then and that's your victory is the ship, the little escape pod flying.
Escape pod flying off with the ominous fact that some of the worst criminals in Kryptonians' modern history didn't get blown up with the planet because they weren't on the planet at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Bum. Then you do your Man of Steel. The Kryptonians, find out where, the last son of Krypton is, and they go there, and they do the whole thing, and they try to make their new Krypton out of Earth. There's your story told there. You don't destroy them at the end of it, though. You just have them, just go off. You tell an alternate story, something that's happening at the same time as the Man of Steel story that I just proposed. Put it over in Egypt. There are 2 secret Thanagarian agents there that wind up deciding to try and protect the Earth from this Kryptonian invasion because, Thanagar has other plans for them, and they realize they are like reincarnated lovers, and this is, in one sense, their homeland. As even though they were born on another planet, this is where their souls are and belong, because that's the story for Hawkman and Hawkwoman. Hooray!
Okay.
They are reincarnated souls. They are either fated or destined to always reincarnate, find each other, and fall in love, and love each other until death, and then they will do it all over again. And they've been doing that since the ancient days of Egypt, when they were the souls there.
Okay.
Which is nice, because, one, it's nice to see a good married couple, in a superhero thing, and 2, that's true love, man. It's one thing to say, till death do us part. They are going well beyond that. They're going back into the next life, and they're repeating it. They're doubling down every darn time.
Okay.
So there you go. Now you've got your Hawkwoman, Hawkgirl story. The Kryptonians don't get blown up or whatever, killed or what, sent off to the Phantom Zone at the end of the Man of Steel. They instead decide to book a retreat, or at least some of them do, and they decide okay, there was too much solar radiation on Earth for us anyways. We had a hard time not seeing with X-ray vision all over the place. Let's go somewhere else in the solar system without so much solar radiation. Hey, this planet Mars looks good. And then you get them trying something with Mars, and that winds up, giving rise to the story of the Martian Manhunter. There you go. There's your Martian Manhunter brought into the DC universe. He winds up driving them off, in a fit of rage, and then he realizes, why did I do that? This planet is dead now. I am the only one here.
So we're at movie 4 now.
1, 2, 3. Yes, this would be the 4th one in the thing. And then he winds up deciding, I guess I'll go to Earth, sort of thing, where they were. There's life still there. I must leave my mausoleum world behind. Mm-hmm. Then you wind up with the Kryptonians that got driven off from that getting captured by Darkseid. And he utilizes their Kryptonian powers as an offensive vanguard as he decides to attack Earth. The assault from Apocalypse. You have the Green Lantern sort of come in to try and save the day, because, dude, someone attacking, a planet in his sector. And then you get the groups all there forming together. While this is all being happening for these movies, you have your more terrestrial heroes. Your Batman, your Flash, Pick another couple of superheroes you like from the DC universe. Booster Gold and the Blue Beetle.
Okay.
Toss them in there. Have some fun with the whole thing. Aquaman story in there. You weave a similar story thread in with that. With a Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman and I think Aquaman probably work better together as a bit of a thread. And you do your Batman, your Flash, and your Booster Gold sort of thing together. And you get these three threads of interrelated storylines all weaving together into the invasion, from Apocalypse. Bam, there's your Justice League thing. There is your $1 billion, baby that fights the Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, which this is what, eight movies in now, or how many?
8, 9. You can work it for even more than that. But if you're putting them out at the right pace, you could tell this wonderful story without having to wait 3 years to find Batman fighting Superman. And in the meantime, I suppose you wind up just barely getting in a Suicide Squad movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not moving at a good enough pace. And just by watching what they could have done here, they could have broken things up, paced things out a little bit better, and if they had planned ahead, they could have had this whole thing work itself out so that you follow the storyline as it goes from one movie to another. And that's what's so big about Marvel, is the storyline builds. The more you watch it, the more it builds, because it's a woven tapestry going on. You're not seeing that with the DC. The movies seem much more haphazard and almost stapled together.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, I've decided to try and not be such a huge fan of continuity.
Yeah.
You want to tell a story about Batman fighting Superman, go for it. You want to tell a story about, and they don't have to all correlate together. You just enjoy your one movie, and you don't have to feel like you have to watch 10 other movies to get caught up to speed.
Yeah, well, exactly. But I suppose what you're saying is they could have, or it wouldn't be that much. Well, would it be that much effort?
They could have made it work. By watching the one movie, I could have said, no, okay, here's what you do. You set things up, and that way you don't end things off on a clean note. You end off with we'll go with a football metaphor. You throw the football to the next movie, sort of thing, and you keep on throwing it down that way, and that's how you get your touchdown in the end. So you just got to keep making your passes. You got to keep on moving towards the one direction. You got to work together as a team. It's not just one thing and just haphazard going on.
You do have to,
It's not like mini golf where one person plays and another person plays.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is these movies are not necessarily created by all the same. We have writers, we have directors, we have producers, we have.
Same with the Marvel stuff, dude.
Yeah, but I think it's difficult to carry that when there's so many different cooks in the kitchen. That kind of deal. Like, everyone wants to add their own piece to the vision. Well,
here's the thing. Marvel decided, here's the amount of leeway. Otherwise, you follow this. You see our vision. You see the miraculous nature. You see the grand style. No one has accomplished anything of what we have, and we are still going. By the time the Avengers movie got out, that was just the end of Phase 1. They got 3 phases, man. They were that much planning in there. They sat down and talked about this. And you know what they do every year for the comics? They sit the writers down all together and they say, this is what I'm going to do. This is what my plan is for the next year of Batman comics. This is my next year for Superman stuff. This is what we're doing here. And then they correlate the stuff so that it flows a little smoother. They're not doing that with the movies. Marvel did that, and look at it. I released a movie and made $1 billion. It's like, come on, man. Why are you not? If it's going to get you $1 billion,
I think it was a risk for Marvel. I mean, it paid off,
but risk for Marvel, and it didn't go perfectly.
Yeah.
Let's not get that failed.
Yeah, not all the movies worked.
Didn't do so good. The Hulk's a bit of a hard one to write unless you're going to wind up doing the physical comedy. I mean, him smashing Loki in the Avengers, that was. The entire audience just went up in laughter, just him smashing Loki like a rag doll.
Yeah,
that was
good.
God, that was a beautiful thing. And yeah, as it turns out, one of the best parts of Hulk is his physical comedy.
Well,
it's easy to write tragedy with him, but physical comedy works beautifully with the dude.
I'm wondering, if the creative people in those movies wouldn't have, if you get better people if you give them sort of
a longer leash,
go nuts, it's this storyline that sort of has to be adhered to.
Remember, go nuts sort of thing gets you Ryan Reynolds as the Green Lantern. They took the storyline for a lot of the stuff, and then they just kind of slapped it all together and tried to make it one unified thing. there's a reason you're writing a movie for the Green Lantern. There's a reason you're writing a movie for Superman. It's because the comics proved popular enough to warrant it. So don't disregard them. Treat them with the respect that they're due. And so that's why go nuts isn't exactly a good idea in that case.
Yeah.
There are some things you do want to say go nuts. If you're like, you can bet there's someone at the higher up workings of Lionsgate that just stays awake at night thinking, how do I make my own superheroes? How am I going to get this $1 billion baby out? And they're thinking, I guarantee you there is an executive losing sleep, thinking like, where's the Lionsgate heroes? And you know what? They can do that. If they're willing to put in the vision and tell the people, go wild, and we'll see what we can come up with. But don't wrap everything up nice and neat. We might want to put this out as a trilogy. We might want to hook it up to some other movies. Might want to do like this as a tapestry.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong. Like what Marvel has done is a nice cohesive like tapestry, as I said, is beautiful. But you know what else is beautiful sometimes? A quilt. Sewn together from almost random pieces of fabric. So that the whole that they create becomes beautiful. So you can do it as a crazy quilt. You can do it as a tapestry. But you can't do it as what DC's doing right now, which is like, yeah, they're related, I think. Just let me keep writing over here while I'm just doing it down.
Well, this is how the comic books evolved, because the comic books weren't initially intended to be in the
Batman
same universe.
Was in like the Batman universe, Superman was in the Superman universe, and there was, same publication. Why don't they just join up, man?
Yeah, and it was more of a thought, like, because fans are already saying, like, oh, who's better, because they're having their own little rivalries between
saying that one for
Batman
decades.
versus Superman, who would win in a fight, or who's better, who's more moral. And yeah, so finally...
The bigger question is, why are they getting into the fight? Why? What drives them into this fight?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question.
I think Batman versus Superman has created a good reason why.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne has seen, dude, this guy has way too much power. I've seen people with much less power get corrupted by trying to do good. I have to make certain this guy is either incorruptible or I have to take him down before he is unstoppable. And so it's like, no, congratulations, Mr. Wayne. That's actually a very valid concern. I'm pretty certain the government has equal concerns about that too. But you have a lot of proactive gumption. Go for it. So I'll say this about Batfleck. Dude's got the right reasons, and you cannot fault his logic.
Okay. All right.
But, and so I'm just looking at the pacing that the DC's doing, and it's glacially slow.
So you're talking about pacing in terms of, in terms of the overall movies, like this whole years-long process. I don't know,
and don't get me wrong, I do believe that the lesser amount of cohesion is benefiting them to some degree. Because, like, the first two seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the people were saying was like, oh, it was so hamstrung, like they couldn't do anything with this until after this movie gets released. So, okay, that actually hurt them a little bit. I enjoyed it. I saw it as character building. Sure, they're not out saving the world, and sure, it's just a little like a standalone episode here where they find a MacGuffin and save the day. But it shows you who the characters are. That way, when things happen to them, you feel about it. It's really hard to feel about someone who you haven't invested into.
Mm-hmm.
I love Fitzsimmons. They are great individually. I love them more as a pair. And that's why, when the last season, when Fitz was having a hard time speaking because he had a little bit of brain damage, it hurt me. Yeah. At the end of the season, when Gemma got sucked up in the horrible black rock sort of thing and may have wound up dying, it hurt me. And when Fitz was breaking up over it at the beginning, and they're showing him going to such incredible, extreme lengths to try and find effectively his missing half, the lady he loves, I felt for it that much more. Because they set up those dominoes to knock into my heart, man. It got me. But some people saw it as just like, they didn't hit the full speed until after the movie got released. And that way they're able to finally go with what they want for the rest of the season for their plot. So be it. I've
always believed that it should be possible to make audiences care about a character fairly quickly.
If you do it right,
sort of
thing. But it gets easier if you have more time.
But I guess, if audiences are already familiar with the character, then that character can get away with doing something like flawed or stupid, and they're like, oh, well,
He's doing it because he wants to get his love back.
Yeah, he's got his motivation.
That's why he's dealing with terrorists and setting them up and trying to, I guess I'll spoil things for you. Fitz was looking for something that got stolen out of one of those Iraqi museums when they got looted all to pieces, and so he's dealing with terrorists. And what does he do? He decides to try and make a deal with them. Like, here, take these 12 incredibly lethal devices that leave no human remains behind, and give me what I want. And they're going to use it on him. Turns out, no, it was never that sort of thing. Yeah, he closes his eyes. Everyone else gets blinded as a huge flashlight comes out. He steals what he needs. He runs off. He is double dealing with terrorist organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he doing something so foolishly stupid? Why is he going in there alone? Because he loves. And he's lost. And so I'm okay with him doing the stupid stuff. Because, dude, it's like, gotta follow your heart, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it did impact the speed at which they had. But because the Flash and the Arrow TV series are in no way connected to the movies, like they're not connected to the Green Lantern, they're not connected to the Man of Steel or anything like that, they don't have to get hung up. They don't have to wait around. They don't have to work in sync. Just Barry Allen, tell the story of Barry Allen.
Mm-hmm. So get to the awesome part.
just tell it, run, Barry, run, and then just make it awesome. And the stories are great that way. And they're building their own little internal things going on. You see the first season of The Flash going up and things going up here, and the storyline progresses. And you don't have to worry about how is this really impacting? All they have to do is make sure, hey, it's like, are what we doing, is that okay with you guys over, what do they call it?
The listeners can't see you making the phone.
Sorry, but I got a little hand thing. They're just making a conversation. Hey, we got this plan going on with Barry.
Ryan is making a phone out of his hand.
I'm pretending,
he's talking to TV executives.
Between the Green Arrow series and the Flash. Those are the ones that are connected and ongoing.
Yeah, so they got to call each other. And
so it's like, okay, you guys want to do like a crossover? Like you guys want over in the Arrow thing, they're doing the Black Canary sort of thing. So it's like, oh, you need to create some sort of sonic amplifier where your scream can hurt things. You need someone good with tech and good with vibrations. Well, we have a guy over here. Cisco happens to be good, so we'll have a bit where they go over to the other area and they do a bit of a crossover, and the crossovers mesh very nicely. I'm digging that. But that's all they have to do is the crossovers. They don't have to tie it in with the movies, and they're a little bit more unconstrained.
Mm-hmm.
In that regards, I think it's a lot easier for them to tell the story they want, and they don't have to worry about it. Right now, Supergirl is on a completely other network. She could be completely unconnected to them. She cuts that story out. She doesn't have to worry about the black hole that's formed over, the Flash's city. She doesn't have to worry about what's going on with Ollie. Mm-hmm. She can just tell the story of Supergirl, the story of the cousin of Superman, and trying to live, in the shadow of that sort of cape.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
I haven't seen that one yet. I am going to give it a shot whenever I can, and I hope the best for Supergirl. Lord knows her movie happened so badly.
All right.
They had a very interesting depiction, though, of the Phantom Zone in that movie, but it bombed so badly at the box office. I want her to do good. She's done well. But they're going to have to do a quick pace, because when you've got flight and all the powers that Supergirl has, you've got to step into the action quickly. It can't just be about a girl with superpowers that happens to be working for Cat Grant, at this place, and just, her being, her and trying to hide her powers. You got to have her be super. You can't go half throttle on a super story.
Okay.
Which is why I can't recommend Man of Steel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He was so slow. There was such a slow pace. Every time they did a flashback, it was like shifting down a gear. It was hard to pick up the pace time and again. And so, if you're going to tell the story of Superman, tell the story of Superman. Don't tell the story of his father, of the General Zod, of what his dad is thinking. It all correlates into who he is as a person.
We've seen so many Superman movies that are about Superman, so...
Well, that's why we keep making Superman movies. People want to watch Superman
done
right.
Okay.
And this really wasn't Superman done right. Superman Returns was a much better Superman movie, in my opinion. If for the only reason being Superman saving the crashing plane.
Yeah.
That alone, man. Just you know what? Heck, if you guys are having a problem writing Superman, just make little short Superman stories. Make it a short movie. sort of thing. Do it as, like release it online, do whatever you want, sell it off some other way. Just do Superman saving the day from some catastrophe that only Superman can save the day from. Because that's what Superman's about. Can Batman save a plane falling out of the sky? No. He can try.
He'd find a way.
He could do some very good stuff. He might be able to, get it to crash into the river, sort of thing. But he cannot let the plane gently touch down in the middle of, Wrigley Stadium, in the middle of, Metropolis or thing, in a baseball stadium. Batman can't do it. Not that good. He might be able to freeze a river solid. I've seen Batman do that with his bat plane. Can Booster Gold or Blue Beetle, can they stop a plane crashing out of the sky? No, not really. Martian Manhunter? Even for him, it's a bit of a stretch. Well, I suppose it's not that bad if you allow him to not, keep his humanoid form. But, he could probably save all the people on the plane crashes. He'd be better off at that. But only Superman can save the crashing plane, especially while there's Lois Lane inside. So that's how he goes.
Don't you think it's a bit of a problem, though, that you already... if you were watching this movie and you didn't know it was going to be Superman's origin story or something like that, or you weren't looking forward to Superman...
Okay. Rewatch it in my mind quickly that way? Okay.
I mean, I'm sure, it has its ups and downs and flaws and good things. But are your complaints basically based on the fact that you go in looking like, oh boy, I'm going to see Superman. Oh, here comes Superman. Oh, this is the story of Superman. Here he comes. Any minute I'm going to see Superman show up and do cool super stuff. Whereas if it was just, sort of a movie, maybe you wouldn't have that.
Well, would you like to watch a Fast and the Furious movie where they don't get into a car until after an hour in the film?
I only saw the first one, the first Fast and the Furious.
Well, they've done several of them since then, but they all follow the same formula.
I definitely enjoyed the car scenes, but I'm not that's not what I go to the movies for, to see, car chases and Fast and Furious stuff.
Would you watch a Jackie Chan movie where he doesn't do any martial arts stunts for the first hour?
I mean, I would.
There's expectations. You go to see a Jackie Chan movie, you expect to see him doing amazing things.
I guess, bigger audiences contain more percentage of people who have that sort of expectation. And
you
I
watch
think that's
a Superman movie, you expect to see Superman doing super things.
Yeah, I suppose.
Would you... oh, no, that was a bad example. I was going to use a Pinhead movie, but they did so many sequels where he only makes a cameo appearance and call it a Pinhead movie. Maybe that's why they got bad reviews. Would you watch a Muppets movie if the Muppets don't make an appearance until an hour into the film? Would you watch Transformers if they didn't make an appearance until after an hour in the film?
You know what? If it's
how much build-up is too much build-up before the payoff just cannot equate out? There's some sort of loose formula on that. Eventually the build-up.
Here's the thing. I'm not sure if just seeing Superman do something awesome counts as payoff. I know people like it.
Superman doing super things, man. Like he saves the day. A dozen times before breakfast, he walks in as Clark Kent, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's Superman!" He's just like, "Oh yeah."
I remember you made a point a while ago about one of the Superman movies, sort of, or maybe it might not have been you. It might have been someone else. But the movie starts off with Superman doing something awesome, like saving a thing. That's what he does. That's
basically the first couple of movies. Yeah, that's how it starts off. Lois Lane's, in the Eiffel Tower, the whole thing's collapsing out there, and her their cable car or whatever thing, for the elevators, it's crashing down. Can Superman go from Metropolis on the East Coast to the Eiffel Tower before it takes Lois Lane to hit the ground? Yes. Because he's Superman.
Because this is your once upon a time there was a Superman. Every day he saved people's lives and stopped bank robberies and things like that. Until one day
he found a situation whereby his powers couldn't help him.
Yeah.
And thus he shows the superness of the man. I remember reading one Superman story, sort of thing, just a few pages from the Scans Daily website. Where Superman is able to prevent a person from stepping off, the side of a building, committing suicide, by being there, by not using any superpowers, just by being, like a Kansas boy with a lot of heart who cares about a stranger not committing suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the superness of Superman too. That's his superpower, is that he cares.
Don't we all have that superpower?
He could have just grabbed the person by the scruff of their neck and just thrown them in, through a window. It's like, oh, get back into your dang seat there, man. You get it out. It's like, no, it's not worth it. You might not be able to win this, but you definitely won't if you step off. And then he winds up just grabbing the person as a hug. And I guess he does a little Superman fly thing, like, woo! Because, I mean, come on, dude.
He flies him around?
Just, a little bit sort of thing,
Let's go for a ride.
Well, just, just up, sort of thing, the hugs, there's a floating air sort of thing.
The guy freezes to death.
Well, no, it's not like up in the stratosphere, but it's, like a sort of thing like, kind of, he winds up hugging. And, it's a power that even most superheroes don't have. Do you remember that scene in the Avengers where everyone's getting really angry at each other and they're just yelling at each other, just knocking each other down? Like, oh, what's so good about you? What is all that? And Tony Stark looks at Steve, Captain Steve, and he says, the only good thing about you came in a bottle. And he's basically saying, like, the only reason he's a superhero at all is because of like the Vita chemical injections for the super soldier serum. He was wrong. And do you know why he's wrong? Because the real superpower of Captain America isn't his physical perfection. It's because he is willing to keep fighting. And they show that in the first scene, before he even has the power. Some guy in an alley knocks him down. He keeps getting up. He's just a boy from Brooklyn that is not going to stop the fight. He's going to keep on going. He has heart. Call him Ma-Ti from the power, from the, Captain Planet and the Planeteers. That is the most powerful power of all, man. It's heart. It's caring. It's getting back up again, even when it'd probably be a lot easier just to lay down or ignore it. Superman has that power. Captain America has that power. And that is the true special power, man.
Okay.
And that's the thing you got to show, sort of thing, for it. Superman could save the world a dozen times, like before breakfast, and he can do it with his superpowers. That's when you show the real bit about him is just being a person who's there for you.
Yeah,
it's a man.
So isn't that when you talk about payoffs and you talk about, like, I will go to these movies, I want to see Superman, I want to see the Transformers, I want to transform, I want to see the Muppet.
Do their wacky hijinks and crazy stuff.
But when it comes to like sort of an actual payoff, you seem to care about this underlying story about the humanity of the character.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why we call him Superman and not the Kryptonian.
Uh-huh.
The Kryptonian is an alien being from another planet.
Yeah.
Superman is a man who has made the choice to try and save the world every day in this crazy, weird comic book universe where, yes, it does get imperiled like every 24 hours, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just for saving the world. He will stop bank robberies. He will stop people trying to mug a convenience store. He works the small stuff, too. Because he cares about, truth, justice, and, the American way.
Uh-huh.
He cares about that. He doesn't want to see people hurt. That's what it takes, man.
And just almost as an aside, in Man of Steel, is Superman sort of... Because I remember in Superman Returns, it was less emphasized that he was American. There was less emphasis on that American.
He does go internationally, sort of thing, in this case.
And so Man of Steel, is it still not like the American way, or is it?
Well, it is the American way, sort of thing, in that most of the big events happen in American soil. But I mean, there's a lot of non-American events happening.
Okay.
But I'll say this: there was one scene in the Man of Steel. He's at some a trucker thing in the middle of nowhere, and a truck stop, and one trucker guy is hitting on a waitress, smacking her bum. Oh, come sit down here, sweetie, sort of thing. Being a real jerk.
Yeah.
And he's it's like stop like doing that or what I'll have to ask you to leave. And the guy throws like beer on him and all that, and the lady says it's not worth it, honey. And so you know what? He just fine. Gets up, leaves. The guy winds up throwing stuff at him, and he just walks out. This is a man that has the power. He is Superman, all the power he has. But the biggest and the hardest power to exercise was not using anything and just walking away.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, I was watching that scene. It's like, oh God, I'd have thrown that guy. Forget throwing him out the window. I'd have thrown him out through the wall. This guy's just a right jerk. He does get his comeuppance, like the guy winds up leaving later on when he's good and ready to leave, and his 18-wheeler is a pretzel. So, and there goes his livelihood. But, just the fact that he doesn't do anything to the man. And the man is like... Superman is in a world where everything is just so fragile about him, and he could have just shattered every bone in like a second. Just smacked him down like one of those crazy pancake thing people you see in like the cartoons. Just like something heavy falls on him and they wind up doing like the accordion thing. Superman could have done that to the guy, but he didn't. He had the power just to walk away. Whoa, that's some tough power there. I don't think I have that power, but you know what? It could have been within me. And that's the harshest part about seeing Superman, is knowing that he's better than you. Even when he's not using the powers, he's still better than you, man.
I don't know. I'm just thinking
if high rung, man.
If I was Superman, would I walk away, or would I just do something like I wouldn't like fight him, or like what you're saying, like smash his spine.
He could have, though. I mean, like this guy was really like throwing stuff at him, calling him names, and tossing beer in there, and doing just being an offensive jerk on like basically every level.
See, like. I mean, we've talked about Superman's sort of non-lethal tactics before, like of him flying some people up to the top of a mountain to cool down or something like that. Because Superman, in theory, Superman could subdue the guy and like hold him by the shirt, and
he could have just picked him up by the scruff and walked him out, sort of thing.
Yeah, and just have like
blatantly reveal his superpowers.
I guess, well, that's probably why he didn't actually act, is because he was incognito.
Well, and that's one of the flashbacks I did enjoy was him getting picked on as a kid and not doing anything. He wanted to. He wanted to punch that kid so bad. And his dad winds up telling him, well, what good that would have done? You would have knocked his head off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is just it really gets into the mindset of Clark Kent. I mean, like, dude has got so much power,
well, yeah.
And he has to be so very careful.
But that's why this particular incident doesn't interest me as much, because I'm picturing Superman having learned that lesson, as you say, as a young child.
That's a lesson you have to learn every time you get aggravated.
I don't know.
Every time somebody's pushing your buttons and you're getting hot under the collar, you have to relearn that lesson.
I think Superman would get used to it. I think he probably lives it all the time, and he interacts with bad guys like constantly. So there's always people like trying to push his buttons.
Which is
somehow.
You know what's weird though? From what I've seen, especially back in the Silver Age, you know who's pushing his buttons more often? The jerk at the office. The guy he's fighting is an honest villain. I'm going to beat you up, Superman. Like, no, you can't. I'm Superman. Sort of thing. Is I've got like a bunch of illusions that'll frighten you and disorient you, and you'll never find the real me in time. It's like, no, I'm Superman. I can make my way across. I can tell it's not right because of like sound occlusion isn't working through them, so I know it's an illusion and other stuff like that. And he makes his way through and he saves the day. But at least the villain's honest with him, and the villain is playing basically a nice open game. I'm the villain, you're the good guy. You use your superpowers, I use my superpowers. Whoever wins, wins.
Okay, yeah.
The office jerk, he's got to be Clark Kent. He can't do that sort of stuff. He can still like surreptitiously do stuff. No one's looking. Superheat the guy's coffee. Ooh, that's hot coffee. Burn my death. Haha. And that's how Superman gets back at him. Just the little things you can't trace back to him. But it does take a lot of willpower, and that is the guy who would really... I would be fine fighting Lex Luthor 5 days a week, because Lex Luthor, when he fights you, he's honest about his hatred for you. But that dude at the office, he would get me so much angrier and so much more likely to expose my secret identity than Luthor ever could.
Well, I guess some people are like that. Superman never seems like a hot-tempered guy to me. Which I think is, he had to learn that as a child, because if he was a hot-tempered guy, he would be super evil guy. Yeah. Because he would just be killing everybody all the time.
Super
jerk. But he's...
But it does get you into the headspace. It's just the crud he has to put up with. That he...
Well, he has to put up with the same stuff that all of the rest of us have to.
But here's the thing. He actually doesn't need to. He really doesn't need to. He does, by willing choice, put up with all the same crud that we do. He chooses to live the same life as you and I and put up with the same hassles of you and I within acceptable tolerances, because, dude, sometimes he's got to go save the planet, so I guess he's got to disappear for a while. He's not going to make that board meeting.
I guess, there's a different fantasy when, like, sort of that plays out a little differently when you get into movies like Fight Club, I want to say, for example, where the guy's, beat down in everyday life and then sort of takes it out on normal people, on his peers.
In an honest fashion, though. When he's fighting the people at the Fight Club, it's an honest fight. It's not the it's not the pettiness, it's not the little vindictiveness, it's not the passive aggressiveness. It's honest, it's clear, it's open. Which is why I believe Superman probably has a healthier relationship with his villains than he does with, like, the jerk at the office, or the cabbie that's, cutting people off, or, the guy who's taking his newspaper, on the doorstep every day.
Well, I mean, I've got into confrontations with drivers on the road, and I always leave them, I've gotten a bit heated, and I don't know, I feel somewhat bad about it, but also at the same time, I feel like getting angry and yelling at someone is kind of respectful in a way.
Provided you know when to stop.
You don't.
You yell, they yell, you swear, you flip each other off, then you go your separate ways.
Yeah.
I've seen people, follow down, like, why'd you cut me off, like 3 blocks ago, I've been trading you ever since. Like, dude, let it go.
Well, yeah.
You got to know when to stop it. You got to know when to let go.
But I mean, it is
trace the person 3 blocks and then follow them in and start screaming in a public place.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
On some level, it is communication, and it is letting people know. It's not like just burying it inside and stewing at that person.
That's why you scream at each other. You vent it out. That way you don't have to. I can't sleep tonight. How dare you cut me off? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, man. God, I let him loose, man. You hear the words I said? Ooh, that was spicy.
And I try to do that in everyday life. If somebody I haven't worked in an office for quite some time, so I mostly the last time I've been working has been delivering water. So I mean, that's the other thing is everyday life you don't get into a lot of those kind of confrontations.
You shouldn't. Some jobs are more prone to it than others.
Yeah, that's true. But every once in a while you do, and I try to be honest about my feelings. I try to if not yell and swear, but if I'm mad at somebody, just say, hey, how do I put it? That's not cool, or...
You're really eating my cheese here, buddy.
Or I
find
that.
Sometimes a turn of phrase can help diffuse and stuff like that. So instead of saying, dude, you're pissing me off, saying, dude, you are really eating my cheese today.
Something just...
you let them know, and then you do it in a non-offensive way, so that way they can't get mad at you, and it doesn't escalate further. So you might got to put up with that stuff, and he does not need to.
I also wanted to bring up, though, that we have this tradition which has infiltrated, is that the word? Has become more popular in Western society. Is that we have martial arts, and we have this karate tradition. I think of karate, for example, because I'm a bit more familiar with it, of the fact that you learn these techniques, you become a lethal weapon when you get a black belt or whatever. And one of the things they teach you early on, depending on the dojo or whatever, but a lot of senseis will teach you nonviolence. They'll teach you, yes, we're teaching you how to be lethal, but you do not get into fights.
Yeah.
You do everything you can. This is not for using.
So then would a black belt, martial artist, be able to write a better Superman story than, say, the average Joe off the street because he knows just how much you have to withhold on yourself?
I think there's something to that. That's my thesis that I'm saying right now. Okay, so we need to
find a comic book writer with a black belt to really write.
I'm sure there are probably because karate is quite popular, among nerds, which is weird, but it happens because they're like, oh, I should learn how to, sort of be a bit more tough, and then karate.
Well, when you grow up with Batman as your hero and you don't have any martial arts stuff, and going on for your basic training, it's like, what have you really learned from Batman there, buddy? What have you really learned?
And I think a lot of nerds who are into things like maybe anime or stuff in Japanese culture, they'll learn, if they don't actually learn how to do karate, they'll learn a bit of the Bushido code, or that's samurai code.
Yeah.
They'll learn things like honor and those sort of cultural ideals and values about nonviolence, unless you absolutely have to.
I do believe The Art of War should be essential reading for everybody.
Yeah.
You don't go to war unless you know you're going to win. Otherwise, you're a moron. Not what he actually said, but that's a paraphrase of an entire chapter. Yeah.
So our comic book culture has a little bit of that in it, I think, of that ideal.
But I think just having a real good knowledge base of just how much you have to hold back, you could really get into the headspace of Superman.
Yeah, and I think Superman also, like, for us, serves as an example of, like, what if you had absolute power? Like, how would you...
How should you be? That's the thing. That's why I like the bit with the Man of Steel where he just walks away. That's the power every one of us should have in that situation. But do they? Like, could you honestly say there's some guy is really pushing all the buttons, throwing beer on you, like assaulting women, calling you names and all that sort of thing? Could you really say that you would just walk away as calmly as possible?
Well, I don't know if walking away is the right, because what I was saying earlier is I think what I would probably do is do the whole grab him by the collar and take him outside and like have him cool off, something like that. That's what I would probably do.
It takes the bigger man to walk away from that sort of thing. Even that, like not getting into the fight, even if you know you're going to win, like because it's such an unfair fight when you're Superman. If the guy punches you once, he breaks his own hand. Kind of shows off on that one.
Well, yeah, I'm okay with him breaking his own hand. I mean, in the scenario you described.
I'd be okay with that too, but Superman's bigger than that.
Is he?
Just turn your 18-wheeler into a horrible, horrible wreckage of waste.
Well, hand reconstruction surgery is what? Probably
about the same as replacing the front end, the front part of your 18-wheeler.
An 18-wheeler is probably $100,000, or
I put them around the comparable range, sort of thing. So I guess it was one or the other, and that dude had to vent some way. Yeah, this is before he was fully Superman. This is just when he was a guy with superpowers, sort of thing. But it was still more self-control.
Superman has super reflexes, though, right?
In most instances, yes.
So
it plays fairly loose, like with the Flash, whereby it's like, oh boy, yeah, he moves at enough speed that he can make a 90-degree corner at like just under Mach 1, and yet you can still like wind up almost shooting him.
So, and my thought is that Superman should be able to...
Although he is getting better, by the way. He did get shot originally at the first bit, and then later on in the first season, he was able to catch the bullet before it hit the back of his head. So he is getting better. But it is something you do have to be on high alert for. So reflexes are really played wonky with in super style.
Okay. Well, what I was thinking was Superman should actually be able to catch a punch, or even just like if he's getting punched, I guess in the face, he can blur his face is one thing he can do, but he could also like move his face back to time it with how when
soften the blow.
When he catches people who are falling at terminal velocity, he can't just like
he often does, but he probably shouldn't. Otherwise, when Lois Lane falls off the thing, he winds up catching her with twice as much force as if she had hit the ground.
But a similar deal is like he should be able to calibrate his like sort of cushion that like a fall or a punch.
That's why I've always believed he should try and catch it like as he's going down with them and just do like a U-turn around.
Yeah, sort of a
or maybe just
parabola.
A J-turn, something like that. Just because, at least that way it makes a little bit more sense as to why they're not completely dead. But I suppose he is good for just shifting it and momentum redirection.
Although in theory that should take, like, Iron Man would be better for that because he has computers that can calculate how much he has to slow down, whereas Superman can't really calculate it.
I will say, though, from what I have seen in the Man of Steel movie, not much for super speed, aside from really high flight speeds.
Okay.
He doesn't really seem to have the super reflexes or motion like that. None of the Kryptonians do.
So he can't. So my catch a punch theory might not work.
It would have definitely helped him fighting actual military units with military experience. Because here he is like effectively trying to be a pacifist, and now he's got to fight people on his level that have military training for combat. Rather tough.
Yeah, but because. Like picturing myself in the shoes of a hero, I can't picture myself walking away from a confrontation necessarily. Like if somebody is bothering somebody else, I don't know whether it's a sexual thing or just people fighting. I would probably prefer to intervene in some way, and I imagine there's a non-violent way to do it, not extremely violent way to do it.
Although looking at Superman's powers, there's a lot of very violent ways to stop things. Well, whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess the other thing is, like, if we're talking about people who are in a relationship already, they're in some way you can't really help you can't really help them because they're both deciding to be in that relationship together, and that's something they have to work out.
They're fighting in the background, alley because they both want to fight. Well, let's just let them fight.
Yeah.
There's two drunk people that want to beat each other up. Just let the two drunk people beat each other up.
Well, you don't have to let them. I mean...
At what point, though, does it to go into like the category of iRobot, where you have to step in to stop a person from being themselves? In order to prevent harm coming to them, sort of thing, you have to like stop their free will. You kind of gotta let stupid people do stupid things.
Well,
it's free will.
Yeah, sometimes, I suppose. I mean, yeah, we have freedom, but, I mean, if you're right there...
Superman could be stopping, like, all this stuff all the time, but at what point would he, like, effectively be impinging on your free will to do something reckless and stupid and dangerous? That's a harsh question. That's an interesting question to ask, I suppose. Maybe that's the point of a movie. What do you get off telling me where I cannot do? What do you do trying to save me from the consequences of my actions? Let me jump off this building again.
If I was Superman, though, I would stop two drunk people from fighting each other. If I don't have anything better to do, I suppose. And
if you do it right, just splash some water, around their feet and super freeze it, and that way, it's like some frostbite on the toes, and nothing else.
Because this is what police do. They'll come to a place and they'll be like, okay, nobody's fighting each other as long as we're here. The police won't let a fight just happen.
But Superman isn't the police. As soon as he tries getting that moral ground of like, I decide this sort of thing, it takes on some very nasty lessons.
But my thought about Superman is that he has, in the fact that he has a bit, because police have power. They have weapons, they have training, they have
legal
authority.
Rights.
Generally the public will be on if you're a policeman, generally the public is like kind of with you, at least somewhat. Generally, yeah.
There's some interesting situations whereby the cop is the enemy by default, but okay, whatever.
That can happen too. But yeah, sort of. So that's my analogy, is that basically you have power, and so how to handle the power that you have, whether it comes from just overwhelming physicalness because you're Superman, or a sort of societal niche that grants you certain power, plus training, plus a little bit of
And you keep hearing about the cops that are abusing their power.
Yeah.
All the more reason to look up to Superman.
I mean, is there... I'm curious, I think we're going over time.
We are well
quite
over time.
I might have to edit some of this out, I don't know. Is there a universe of, I think there might be, of, semi-super, police force, who's actually rather numerous, basically super cops?
The Green Lantern Corps?
Green Lantern. Well, they're really super, though. They're...
Well,
or are there lesser Green Lanterns that are kind of sort of super? Not really.
They wind up dying pretty easily, so I guess they're not that super.
Okay. I wonder if that would be an interesting comic book universe to explore, sort of like a RoboCop, Judge Dredd, maybe, sort of where there's a lot of them.
Crossover.
Yeah, where there's a whole force of maybe a few thousand around the country.
Skyforge.
What's that?
The Skyforge one I was talking about earlier for the video game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
You're immortals, you're powerful, but you're not omnipotent.
Yeah, so you're not necessarily Superman, but you are this sort of figure of, if you showed up in a bar, you could stop that bar fight. Probably. You have enough power. And you might have, some sort of bulletproof or mostly bulletproof or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Crazy fun abilities.
That would be interesting to have those sort of scenarios where, you have power, but you're not necessarily the only... I suppose you could just make it where, the cops wear, mecha armor sort of thing. Yeah, okay.
Is that low enough superpower for you?
Yeah, something like that. That way there would be this... Because what I'm getting at is you would see these sort of different responses to the situation. One guy might walk away, another guy might, lose his temper and, kill the guy who's harassing someone. Another guy might be okay, non-lethal solution. Somebody, sort of different. You could see have the personalities sort of play against each other. And that's a little bit more like real life police work, is that you have a variety of people. They're people who have different dispositions. So I think that would be kind of neat.
So you could tell a very interesting story based on power and the differences when they're all supposed to act almost like a machine. They should all be acting this way in this situation. Some don't. Some work a different way. Such and so forth. Tell the story, Josh. There's your NaNoWriMo.
Well, that could be a pretty cool NaNoWriMo.
Mechacop.
Yeah. So should we maybe wrap it up? Should I do the social media stuff? We have social media. We have an email address if you want to send us messages about all the things that we talked about. If we sparked something in your imagination, we'd love to hear it. TheSimulationist@gmail.com is where you can send longer thoughts. You can also post thoughts on our Facebook page where everyone else will be able to see them.
You can get pretty lengthy on Facebook, too.
Yeah, there's
diatribes,
lots of
paragraphs, and manifestos, and all sorts of fun stuff.
So, yeah, Facebook.com/TheSimulationist is our Facebook page. You can like that. You can see the links that I post there of whatever we've mentioned on the show. You can tweet at me, @SpaceBoot1 is my Twitter handle.
I have no Twitter handle.
Yeah,
I do Twitter lurk, but you'd have to be very, very big for me to have come across that.
Okay.
Just be shouting into the void, really.
And what else? There's a YouTube channel, youtube.com/TheSimulationist, where you can also comment. And if you happen upon us on iTunes or Stitcher or another podcatcher of some description, you can leave us reviews or positive ratings or thumbs up or whatever you feel like leaving.
Positive criticisms also are appreciated.
Yeah, we definitely love criticism.
Constructive criticism, not
criticism.
you socks. That's not positive.
Yeah, and don't forget, IFCon is coming up at the end of this month.
Yes.
And Roll for Initiative is coming up every month, once a month. So this month
next week is Canadian Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, Thanksgiving coming up. That's good.
Not for you Yanks or anything like that, but like other Canadians are. So don't forget.
Don't forget. Yeah.
Boy, will you be red in the face.
That's all the things, I think. Final thoughts on...
Well, Man of Steel and
Man of Steel.
Poor pacing. Try and work the flashbacks into just concise and infrequent. Because it really did. They were just riddled amongst the whole thing.
Too much flashbacks. Okay.
The whole background thing for Krypton, you totally could have made its own movie out of. And I could have been a great movie. I mean, it's not like you didn't have a star power to work with. This was something that could really have gone on. And you could have told a very interesting lesson about, predestiny. Because, as it was in the final days of Krypton, people were born, he will be a soldier when he's born. He will be a senator when he's, grown up. This one will become a scientist. And they don't have any free say in their society as to what they want to be and what sort of thing that does to you. Zod was born and, raised to be a soldier, defend Krypton. This is why he rose with his rebellion. He thought that the people, the Science Council wasn't serving the best interests of Krypton, so he decided to go for rebellion. That's a very powerful thought. I'm doing it for its good. He wasn't a villain. He didn't feel like a villain in that case. You could really have gotten into that. So you could have made that its own movie. The pacing and the whole where you take your pauses between movies could have been so much better.
Okay. Yeah.
That said, not a horrible movie. Watch it if you got the time. Don't go too far out of your way to find it. Be prepared for no Superman for a long time.
Okay.
There you go.
I didn't actually see the movie, but I might not now that you've said that. I think I get what you're saying about pacing. And you're applying pacing in a very both.
The story they wanted to tell had so much backstory attached to it.
Okay.
It was like trying to win the Indianapolis 500 with a couple of motor engines tied to your back end, man. When you've got that much stuff slowing you down, it's really hard to get a good pace going.
Okay.
It did manage to get a pace going, and there were some very nice scenes. There were some very good, powerful scenes. But they could have been made even better with the proper, quicker pacing and the snappier lineup going for the whole thing.
Okay. So, was there, too much exposition?
That's basically the entire role of Jonathan Kent was exposition in all those flashbacks.
Uh-huh.
So much backstory being explained. Time and again, it's just oh my God, just have a threat and have them save the day, for goodness sake.
Okay. Well, all right. I guess that makes the podcast, right? Yeah, we're done.
A podcast in a bit.
Yeah, I've been Josh Trelevin.
I've been Ryan Kirkley. See you in 7 days.
7